Remember watching Devil Wears Prada and dreaming of getting the job at Vogue? Now imagine that there is a job everybody obsesses over even more, and you are the one to get it. You start out this role feeling so excited and happy, but soon you realize that even though you're working overtime literally every day, you are not even getting paid. Moreover, your only co-worker expects praise for doing the bare minimum. And when the fast deadline is approaching, he's literally nowhere to be found. What the fuck is that? Congratulations, you've been gaslighted. Welcome to motherhood. It looks like women are finally caught up with the fact that they've been scammed. Moreover, the economy is so different from what it was even 20 years ago. We are the first generation to figure out the new gender roles, and it can be overwhelming and confusing for both men and women.
Just put in more effort, says the panel of women that never planned a first date in their lives.
Have to pay. Sorry, they have to fucking pay.
But my parents have always been an inspiration of what is a perfect family. So today, I will tell you how my parents have been handling gender roles and motherhood. Moreover, I will also tell you under which conditions I would consider becoming a mother. One time I have asked my mom, how would you describe a perfect man? And she said, it's a man who lets you enjoy motherhood. Interesting perspective, I thought. And after that, we started this very deep conversation with my mom about motherhood, and it was really eye-opening. When my parents met, both of them were extremely ambitious, but at the same time, they come from pretty traditional families. One thing you have to know about my mom is that she used to be a math teacher, therefore she really knows how to count. When my parents were having a discussion regarding their expectations, my mom decided not to throw all of the expectations on him, and she wanted to do it in a womanly, sneaky way. So she was the first one to ask him,
Darling, what are your expectations from me if I become your wife and the mother of your children?
My dad responded in his usual manner, I just want you to smile like you do right now and be happy. And my mom said, I can guarantee that I will continue doing this, but once I have children, you understand that it's going to be way harder to have so much energy and greedy with a smile after work. But I know that I will be able to do this if you will provide the following: nannies, drivers, bodyguards, and chefs. My dad wasn't really surprised by that. He knew that my mom is a woman who expects a lot of things. Also, fun fact, my dad is 3 years younger than my mom. So when they met, my mom was 21 and my dad was 18. It was also USSR, so nobody was really rich, but there was already a feeling that there will be capitalism coming.
Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev has been removed from power, and there are tanks now in the streets of Moscow.
And my mom knew that my dad would be able to make it. But both of them wanted two things: family and successful business. But they knew that they cannot do those two things at the same time if they will not be delegating the tasks. Therefore, they decided that my mom will be raising the children and my dad will be making money. But in order to make sure that both of them benefit from this situation, my dad made sure that my mom is an official co-founder of every business. Therefore, 50% of my dad's business belongs to my mom. One thing which people don't understand when they hear this is that my mom actually shares 50% of the risks. So this is not just a fairy tale. It means that you are also taking as many risks as your husband who's working. But we will talk about it some other time. Let's get back to motherhood. So when they were discussing having children, apart from naming how much help my mom needs, they also wanted to have a discussion how they envision raising their children. Of course, they talked about religion, because both of my parents actually come from two different religious backgrounds, and I believe it's extremely important to make sure that you are aligned on this. My mom also wanted to make sure that my dad understands how important it is for children to find out what they're truly good at, because it's very important for children to do what they're actually passionate about. And how can you do this if you don't try things? Therefore, my mom made it clear that she will want her children, by the way, I'm not happy about this, to go to music school, try different sports, do art school, because you have to try many different things to finally figure out what you're good at. And that unfortunately requires a lot of money, which I think is very wrong, but that's the reality. So my mom made sure that apart from going to school, we also do a lot of activities. My dad agreed with this, and he also knew that we will be very busy. And that's why my mom told him another thing. She said,
I expect my children to go on vacation 4 times a year.
they will be working so much, they will be great athletes, great students and musicians. And in order to stay inspired and in order to have enough energy to do all of this, they need to travel a lot. I want my children to see the world. And you have to understand how important it was for people from USSR, because before they couldn't even travel abroad. And now, since USSR fell apart, it was extremely important for my mom to have the opportunities which she didn't have. Moreover, my parents believed that the best way to learn is by witnessing the world. Therefore, as we were traveling, we tried not to go to the same places all the time. Every time we would travel, we would go to different countries, and the best way to learn is by understanding different cultures. Obviously, we wouldn't learn the language just by going somewhere on vacation, but we would understand what people were like. We would see the world and we would learn the basic phrases.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
And you would be surprised how far it takes you to speak even a few phrases in the language of the people, because it makes the relationship between people so much easier. And my mom made sure that we have people skills. So my mom and my dad both set such a high standard for me. But you have to understand, when my parents met, none of them were rich. They were building this together. And when I'm expecting to be a mom, and as my sisters are mothers right now, they have expectations way higher than my mom. And my mom is happy about this. Because when men ask, how can you expect all of this? Your mother was with a man who didn't have anything and she believed in him. And you're not like your mom, you're so much worse. To which my mom responds, I took risks, so my daughters don't have to. You guys don't have to take a leap of faith in any man. You can choose a man who already made it, or a son of that man. Because my parents struggled for it, and now I can be even more picky than my mom. So now, let's get to the spoiled part. What the fuck do I expect from being a mother? First of all, girls, if you are actually giving birth, what do you expect? Property, car, a new surgery? You just gave birth, so you want your body to look nice. Also, don't believe a man when he says, baby, the moment you will give me children, I will give the world to you. Once again, write it down in a prenup. Words don't mean anything if nothing is signed. For that, watch our older episode on prenup. The other thing which I will be expecting is private schools. That was actually very important for my mom as well. Let me explain why. My parents always told me, you're taught by the same books everywhere. It's about the people who surround you. So, in order to integrate in this spoiled society, it's always easy to go to private school and just find your friends there. By the way, it's also beneficial for parents when their children go to private school, because it helps them to expand their network as well. We also covered that in our college episode. You can have as many expectations as you want, but the thing is, you have to be on the same page. And when people are telling you, you expect too much, you're being too pushy, girls, that's a good thing. It means that you have standard. It's not a good thing when you're okay with absolutely anything. I know that the patriarchy made you think that the moment you're demanding or materialistic, you're a bad woman.
Fuck the patriarchy!
But usually it's those demanding women who get their children to places.
In the course of this campaign that you
Hello?
There shouldn't be any shame in wanting great things for your children. It should be actually quite weird when you're okay with settling for your kids, because as a woman, it's your duty to make sure that you find an amazing father and you become an amazing mother for your children. So, am I expecting too much? You're totally right, and I will not be shamed for this. And girls, what if I told you that motherhood should not be all about sacrifices as you've been told? Motherhood should be a dreamy experience. It should be fulfilling and happy. And it can only be this way if you plan ahead. As my mentor once said, fail to plan is plan to fail. And never be ashamed of having high standards. In the next episode, we will talk about the most rare privilege, but the one which each of us could actually easily have. Yes, honey? Like, subscribe, and as always, do whatever you want with this information.